Welcome to the Tiniecorner, where we talk about things and stuff over a cup of coffee.
Yes.
My name is Cindy.
And I'm Anon.
And today we're talking about
Modeling and fashion in general.
That's why we are dressed up.
Kinda.
So we know that a lot of people are interested in going into fashion in terms of like modeling. But I mean, we thought we might share some stuff.
Yeah.
Since we're in the industry, we know how we got into the industry, and we know how some of our friends got into the industry as well.
It's not as, obvious as becoming a office worker or just go in and apply.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird, wonder world where like, how do people start getting into this kind of stuff? And how do you even strive in this kind of industry? So yeah, it's going to be quite an interesting topic.
Yeah, it is. It's, you can get into it many different ways, and it's always going to be different in different countries as well, depending on the cultural aspects of it. I can begin. Just like for me personally. So I've always been kind of into the showbiz industry since I was young. Like my mom had always like signed me up for pageants and stuff.
Oh, wow.
But I was never really super into it as a kid. But then, let me see. I did a few fashion walks when I was in my like teens. I wasn't good at it at all. I had very low self-esteem, and I decided like I didn't want to do it anymore. So then, when I went into uni, I think because of the whole concept of living alone and like finding your footing in life, I became more comfortable in my own skin as well. So I decided to try out modeling. I was lucky enough for it to go through like contacts. So for me, it was a friend of a friend who saw me on her friend's IG story.
Okay.
And she was in the midst of opening up a new brand. So she saw me in our mutual friend's IG story, and she was just like, "Oh, is she a model? Is she available to shoot for this thing I'm doing?" At that time, I wasn't a model, but I was definitely up for it because I'd done like a bunch of projects.
You weren't until you were.
Yeah, fake it until you make it. So like, I was doing a bunch of projects in uni and stuff like that as well, but it doesn't really count. But yeah, so I didn't have to prepare any portfolio or anything like that. I was called to go do the shoot. She was very nice. I love her still to this day. And it turned out that her brand actually won a huge competition for Vogue.
Oh, the Vogue, the annual award?
Yeah.
For Thai, what's it called?
Designers. Yeah. So she won that. I got to walk for her as well during that competition. And then after that, it was just kind of a word of mouth thing where people saw me in her work and they asked like, "Oh, like, would you like to model for my brand as well?" Or some people would ask her directly.
So basically your first job was for Vogue. God damn.
Indirectly. It's never been published, so I don't know if you could say that.
I mean, you got to walk. That walk has been published. No?
No. So it wasn't like a walk for a fashion show. It was a walk for a competition. So they were calling, they called all of the brands into TCDC. Yeah. And everybody had to do a walk for the judges. So it wasn't published like that. It was just internally for those people who were there.
Right.
And then based on that, they were given, different scores. And then she ended up winning, which was nice.
Wow. For me, it's a bit completely different. So before I graduated uni, I came back here for during the what's called the uni break. I was at the end of the year break, so I had the longest time for the break, and I went to intern at a music label. One of the biggest, well, there's not that many in Thailand anyway. And I did intern in a country music label.
Uh-huh.
Which is surprisingly makes the most money because those like pop music scene, it only makes money in Bangkok, right? But the rest of the countries, they listen to countries, those kind of stuff. So it was very eye-opening experience. And one day, this guy, who's not a staff I've never seen before, he walked into the office and he did a double take on me. So he walked past me and he just like looked back at me. He's like, and walked up to me and asked like, "Who are you? Who are you? Why are you here?" So I was like, "I'm just an intern." And he's like, "No, you're lying. Who are you?" It's like, I'm seriously an intern.
Everybody knows somebody in Bangkok. So somebody is always somebody. Or at least knows somebody.
Yeah. Turns out he's a stylist for an artist at that point, or the new album or concert, I can't remember. And so he kind of invited me to, join the modeling industry.
Mm-hmm.
So I did some background check on him because I know quite a few people and I have a lot of cousins who's also in this industry.
Mm-hmm.
Turns out he knows my cousin as well. So I was like, okay, this guy's trustworthy. I'll just let him be my manager. And that's how I got started. But yeah,
Also,
after that, I had to go back to Australia for about half a year.
Yeah,
and then
to finish like the studies. Also, if you hear anything in the background, we are currently, for once, filming during the day.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of cleaning going on and a lot of traffic going on and a lot of everything going on.
Yes.
So that's why.
I'll try my best to get rid of those noises.
I hope so.
Yeah.
But yeah, so as you can see, the smoothest way to get into the industry is just through contacts, which is, is up to luck, unfortunately.
In Thailand, that's how it is. Unfortunately, the two major ways of getting into is, as you already said it, know someone, and two, you have to actually look different or, categorize that kind of look.
Like have a unique look that will get you noticed by people.
Yeah.
So let's say that you actually don't know anybody in the industry, or like you don't know anybody who would be, for giving you a chance or something like that. Or maybe nobody has a brand that they're going to start, whatever. So you don't have any of that. And maybe you don't feel like yourself. You have any special look or anything like that, but you still really want to become a model. The first thing you have to do is do some research on agencies.
Yes.
Because that is a way that you can get into the industry easily. Both of us work with agencies. Both of us are also freelance at the same time. So that means that we don't have any set contracts with agencies that limit us to only working for those agencies.
We do job by job.
So we do job by job. So how that works is that when you have a contract with an agency, you are expected to get more jobs than somebody who's not signed. That's not always the case, but that's usually what you should expect from the agency, right? Usually you would have to sit down and have a talk with them first and see like if you are on equal terms. Always read through the contract and everything like that.
There could be like really, really iffy stuff in there.
Yeah, so you should always read through the contract.
Yeah.
Or not sign any at all. But signing a contract is an easy way for you to guarantee getting jobs, at least in the beginning. But usually those contracts will last for like 1 to 2 years, where you can't go to any other agency or work outside of that agency. Like, so if people, like for example, if a brand on Instagram, like a smaller brand contacts you and you're already signed with an agency, you usually can't accept that job.
The only way to accept that outside job is to let your agency know and have your client go through your agency. And then it's up to your agency of how much they're going to ask the money for, which could then, result in you not getting the job at all.
Yeah. So either if that happens, either they would raise the price or they would keep the same price, but take from your cut So usually that's about 30% of the total payment. And then on top of that, if it's an official job, you get 5% off from tax as well.
3 to 5% depends on
What kind of job it is.
Yeah, because there's like a weird taxation. Like if you're personal, if you like take the money as a under personal name, it could be 3%. But if the company takes it, then it's like 5%. Also, there are what's called the imported models.
Yeah.
Where these agency would find the foreign models to fly in and stay with them, and would do jobs. Usually, with those kind of contracts, they would get deducted more because the agency would have to pay the accommodations and other stuff for them. So I think they'd get only 50%.
Yeah, but usually they would find higher paying jobs for you.
Yeah.
I know a few models who do that as well. So they come from like different countries, such as like there's a lot from Russia. There's a lot from Korea and Canada. A lot as well.
Canada?
Yes.
Wow.
A lot of Canadian models come to Asia specifically to do a lot of like TVCs, like TV commercials here. And they get paid more because like usually what happens is that, so if you're in a country that like those countries, not including Korea, they don't really produce a lot of media in terms of like the big screen. So most of the TV commercials or like ads or anything like that is shot within Asian countries because it's
cheaper production
and outsourcing, stuff like that.
Surprisingly, Asia is quite diverse in terms of finding models.
Yeah.
I actually did a job for this Japanese clothing brand. They were looking for models in Thailand and they flew us to Vietnam.
Yeah.
Which is kind of weird because I asked them like, how is this cost effective? And they said, actually, it's not that difference of, in terms of payment. They're like, okay, I guess. And the people from the Vietnamese production, they're very, very professionals. They give a lot of praise to Thai productions as well, the talents. And they're saying that we are so professionals. And I was like, what? No? Like, how is this professional? Because
I think we're just used to doing it.
Yeah,
I guess.
I would say because we have a what's called longer history in terms of entertainment business and industry in Thailand compared to Vietnam. So I guess I said like the standard has been set since years and years ago. So they see us as more of an experienced crew, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah, so even if you're here as well, like if you're based in Thailand, a lot of the time they will fly you out to other countries as well. It really depends on what kind of look you have though, because of course different clients search for different types of looks. If you're modeling in Asia, usually you don't have to be that tall compared to modeling in Europe.
You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised.
Well, I know because I've been trying to get jobs in Europe and I'm 170 and it's still quite short. So I'm talking about like bigger jobs and stuff like that. So if you have special looks where you stand out more, they will often forgive your height even if you're shorter. But if you are very just generally good looking, then they often expect you to be taller. For Europe, at least.
Because for Thailand, I often get rejected or put as like the sub character purely because of my height. I'm 178 centimeters or 5'10". Mostly especially for fashion runway, they expect the dudes to be like 183 minimum to about 188 because they don't want any taller because the pants will be like too short.
Like fashion runway is very different.
Yeah, it is very different.
So like that's also a thing you should consider, like what kind of modeling you want to do. You can always say everything, but you're always going to get one more than the other unless you're like a supermodel. So for, as you said, like for walks, usually you have to be around that height, like 180. That's usually for guys. So for fashion walk in Thailand, they're a little bit sensitive about height, but not as much as Europe again, and not as much as for guys. I think because of the heels. Like you can just wear heels and then you're on the same height. For TVCs, they're very forgiving.
Oh yeah,
like very, very, very forgiving. So for TVCs, usually, I'm sure you guys have seen like commercials. So usually you're supposed to look like the regular person. There's oftentimes like where models specialize in TVCs and they look very average, like in a good way, where people can relate to them. So that's why they get a lot of TVC jobs. But they wouldn't do as well probably in like a high fashion industry.
Because like, of course, like both of us know this one particular kid.
Do we?
Yeah.
Can you give me a hint?
He used to work at my shop.
Okay.
Yeah, that guy. So he's very good looking, but not, as she said, not in terms of like high fashion. Like as an average man, he's like above average, and he's quite tall, but for some reason, like he can't do high fashion stuff.
Yeah.
But he almost always get like the office guy job, or like, you know, the
or like
first
the
jobber,
boyfriend,
the boyfriend,
or something like that. So he's above average in terms of like the general average. But yeah, wouldn't I'm sure he could do fashion, but I think he's also like the friend we're talking about specifically. He's so focused in on like TVC stuff that his mind is not really wired to do high fashion either. Like I can't imagine him like striking poses for high fashion.
True.
I've been to jobs too where it's like high fashion job, and they get in a foreigner who, even though he looks different here, in like a Western country, he would look, pretty average in terms of like he would look good for an average person. So like for a TVC job, but here he would fit for high fashion. But I think that he wasn't really used to that kind of stuff. So they brought him in, and then they were like, he was also like a very straight dude.
Wait.
Is that one?
Okay.
Yeah. He was a very straight dude. And we had this job together.
Yeah.
And they were like, you have to be more feminine. You have to strike a pose. You have to, give some sass to it. And he was just like...
He was so stiff. He had no idea what to do.
He was very tall too.
Yeah.
Very good looking, but very tall and very like normal looking. And he was just like... He's like, no, like this, you have to be like...
And he's like super buff.
You have to be a bitch.
He's kind of like buff as well.
Yeah, he was quite buff.
Yeah. So I was like, oh.
I was like, oh.
They're being pretty harsh on him.
Yeah. So going back to that, when you go to an agency and you choose an agency, you should often look at what they specialize in. So a lot of the TVC agencies will have like social media pages that just focuses on TVC jobs. So they will show you like, this is the jobs that we've gotten for other models. And then you will kind of be able to guess what kind of jobs you would be offered. And then often for the high fashion ones, they would just have like editorials on their Instagram pages or anything like that. There's also another thing. So a lot of the agencies in Thailand, at least, don't really have websites. I know that's a very common thing in Europe. They actually have like websites with, with the pictures of the models and everything like that. I think since we are so
dependent on social media.
That too, but also I think because of the whole freelance culture here,
right?
The models change very fast. So what they would do here is they will upload a picture of your comp card, which is your card with all your information on their social media.
What does comp card stand for? Because like COMP, right? Does it stand for anything?
I don't know actually. I never thought about it.
Because like I always thought about it, but I couldn't be bothered looking it up. So it's like always like in here.
Yeah. We'll put it here. Post edit, we'll put it here. So it's a comp card. It looks like this. You can put like either one of ours. And yeah, so usually they will put yours up, and if you're a newbie, they will make a comp card for you. So they will make like they will bring you up to usually the rooftop and they take a bunch of pictures and stuff like that. And you have to...
And they'll make you look presentable.
Most of the time. I've had a lot of bad experiences with agencies taking my
and if you've
pictures.
done like this kind of job before, they would kind of steal those pictures and make it for you themselves.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's if you're a freelance. But yeah, that's about it if you want to start modeling. Maybe people, how would you usually find agencies?
I would say the easiest way is just to look it up, like on internet. Because I know this model. She went to Japan for, I would say, half a year, and she just looked it up on internet, and she would find one that kind of fit her style, and she just emailed them.
Yeah, that's true. I used to do that for other countries as well. I think for Thailand, or actually other countries as well, you can just basically go to your favorite models' Instagram and see if they have an agency. Usually they will have it in the description if they're signed.
If you want to do it more like old school way, just print it out, go to the office, just hand it in.
To what office?
The agency office.
But how do they find the office? Yeah, just Google again. But yeah, you can just either just go to them or email them or
slide to the DMs.
When I was considering signing with an agency, I just found the one I wanted to go for, and then I just went to their office. Like I booked a meeting. I went to the office and then we sat down and they were basically like, yeah, you don't fit our image. But we have a sister agency that would love you. And I was like, ooh.
How about no?
No, thank you.
Yeah, about this contract stuff, it's quite dangerous in many ways because I know quite a few kids that kind of got tricked into signing with them. Like 2 years, can't get outside jobs, and then they would get no jobs from the agency. It's like, well, what now? So they just waste like 1.5 years.
Yep.
It's kind of shame.
Yeah, you have to be a little bit careful. Another way you could do it in this day and age, which we didn't have before, is that you can basically make your own career on Instagram. You have to be careful though, because if you edit your pictures too much and then you go and you stand in front of another photographer, it will, you will lose jobs basically. Yeah. So if you can start to gain a following on Instagram and then get usually like brand deals where they will send you stuff to review them, you can start doing that. And then eventually people will just message you for taking jobs for modeling for them.
Yeah. Or even like you can charge per post as well. A lot of people in Thailand also do that, where they charge like 5,000 baht up to like 20,000 baht per post.
Per post, depending on the following.
Exactly. So it's pretty ridiculous way of, and it's not going to be there forever. It's like, it's 5,000 baht for like a week and they take it out. I was like, God damn, this is almost easy money. But then, it takes time and effort for them to build up those followers as well. So can't blame them.
Yeah. So, and you also have to actually create the content yourself in that case. But it is a way to, get your name out there.
It's an option.
Yeah. Especially now when it's like we're kind of stuck inside, we can't really socialize. That's one way to do it. Just get good lighting.
Because like
use your iPhone camera.
Yeah, you got some of the products sent to you before.
Yeah.
You were going to buy them, right? And then they're like, wait, we know you. We're going to send it to you anyway.
Yeah.
Those kind of stuff.
Yeah. So like sometimes, usually I will like actually want to make a purchase. So I will message the brand and be like, because we do a lot of Instagram shopping here in Thailand. So I would just message the brand and be like, oh, I want this dress. How much is it? They would be like, oh,
it's you.
It's you. We wanted you to be our model. So here you can have it for free.
You're like, yes. According to the cake.
Just according to cake. So That doesn't often happen though.
I've never had that.
And you have bigger following than me.
Yeah, but I did get some like physical products that's not related to fashion.
You have some good PR.
I've got sent like a coffee dripper, like this guy made out of wood, so it's kind of cool. I got sent a bottle of gin for free, so that was amazing.
That was very good.
This is the second time they sent me that.
Oh, really?
The first time it wasn't like a full bottle; it was just pre-mixed. I think that's about it for the rest of the
speakers.
Free. Oh yeah, I got a speaker, a tiny one. Amazing quality.
I heard that when you start to gain like a big following, like over 10, 20, 30K, you will get a lot of PR. So like a lot of...
I don't have 10, 20K, so...
Yeah, none of us are like famous. So, you know, but I heard that you get a lot to the point where you can't accept everything. So yeah.
Free stuff.
Speedrun hack. Get famous. Yeah.
A lot of the free items I got in terms of clothing, usually it's a form of payment. So I don't get money. I don't get cash. But I got like, you know, a pant, like a clothing items instead, which is kind of, sometimes it's fine because it's really good, like good cuttings and you really like it. But sometimes you're like, do I have a choice? No.
Yeah.
Fine.
So usually I wouldn't appreciate that kind of payment unless I'm the one offering it. So I had a few people ask about, you know, free photo shoots before where you would get the clothing. In the very, very, very beginning, it's kind of fine, like because you know you don't have any portfolio at all. But when you start to build up your portfolio yourself, it's not really worth it.
No, because like again, like you have to value your own like images and usage as well. We have this thing called it doesn't make sense if I was to directly translate it into English, but basically when you get so many jobs because you're a newcomer and then it become like overused and every single client got sick of your face and they stop using you entirely.
Yeah.
So you have to manage that as well if you ever got into that, like if you ever catch that wave.
Yeah. So that would usually happen on either TV commercial or Instagram brands. So because everybody here, especially now, I've noticed kind of reuse the models on Instagram. I'm currently like in that wave. I appreciate it a lot because I'm like, thank you for wanting to hire me. Thank you for wanting my face on your feed.
Oh, wow.
But also, you know, there will come a point where everybody sees you a lot, especially if you're not famous already. Everybody sees you so much that they're like, oh, is that person again? Like, oh, okay. Like she models for every single brand.
And like I don't want to use him anymore. Like I've heard firsthand, like heard this kind of conversation from the team. It's like, oh yeah, like I've seen this model everywhere. I don't want to use it anymore. It's so boring.
It also happens in music videos a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then like, so for me, I don't get that many jobs anyway. But last year, I got like 4 music videos jobs. I was like, what is going on? I got more music video jobs than my friends who's, you know, known to get that kind of jobs. They're like, what? How do you even get this many in a single year? Yeah, it's purely based on your luck as well.
Yeah, like who's looking at your profile, who knows somebody you know, what agency you're in contact with, what kind of reputation you have in the industry as well, unfortunately. But yeah. So also for the pricing and stuff like that, on the topic of not underselling yourself, if you have an agency, they will usually take care of it for you. If you have a good agency, they will do really well, where they will try to up the price with the clients. If you get unlucky and you get a bad agency, then they will usually just accept the first offer the client gives, or they will even lower the price to get the client to stay with that agency.
Yeah. And so that would result in you getting less money and them just getting not as much money, but they get the volume because they would have
because they have many different
20,
models.
30s, 50s models, and they just keep doing that.
Yeah. So something you need to consider when you get a price or when you price yourself, where is it going to be used? How many items is it? What kind of media is it? Is it going to be...
Like how long?
Yeah, how long is it going to be used? So usually it would be like a year or 2 years or forever. So it usually don't go 3, 4, or 5. It's just like 1 year, 2 years, or forever. Also, I'm very lazy about this, but often like, do you have to style yourself? Or will they have a stylist on set? I have a bad habit of not asking that, but...
And you would turn up with your bare face and you're like,
and they were like, oh!
Surprise!
Yeah.
For guys, we don't really have that issue because we can just go bareface. And for the hair, they can just find someone on the production team to just do it for you. On the contract note thingy, there's so many times where after the contract's been signed and everything, or like you finalizing the deal, the photos been taken, everything, and then they ended up using outside of the scope. You have all the rights to confront them. So that would result in them getting rid of it or they having to pay you more money. So that includes like, say, it's for online use only. And then months or like even a year after you found like a sandy cutout of yourself, you can actually text them because I did that already. It was a year after I did that photo shoot. And then it just appears in...
You're standing there in the supermarket.
Yeah. I was like, what? This is not part of the deal.
Yeah, it happened to me too.
And then the excuse was, the other models didn't say anything. Like, well, because they didn't see it.
Yeah.
And this is not part of the deal. Another thing that I haven't got this myself, but I know a few people where they extended your usage period. So let's say, you get 1 year usage for this ad, you get 50,000 baht, right? They want to extend 1 more year. They would just, contact you or your agency or your manager. So you usually get less money because you'd have to do any like shooting again. They just, extend. So usually about less than 50% of the initial money you get.
Which is usually like a nice extra because you don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
You just say, okay.
But the downside is that also the contract, you would have to consider that for that 1 year of usage, can you accept another job?
Yeah, so you have to consider what kind of product it is. For fashion, usually it's totally fine unless it's like a super well-known brand that you need to sign a contract with, such as like, Chanel, Prada, stuff like that. Yeah. Then you would have you wouldn't be able to do another ad with like competition brands. But if it's like a normal fashion brand like that you would see on like Instagram and stuff, it's totally fine to just go and do any other. If it comes to like vehicles, such as like cars or like motorbikes or skincare, makeup,
anything that's not clothing brand.
Yeah, anything that is, you're right. Like anything that is not a clothing brand, you have to be really careful with the contract because usually, even if just the brand is like, you can shoot with a competing brand within 1 year. Even if it's past that 1 year, usually if another brand sees that you already shot with that brand, they will not want you to shoot for their brand either.
So even though they said only 1 year contract, it usually 2 years because they would need to leave sometimes like, of this person's face not showing up in other brands. Yeah. So I ended up getting offered from the same brand over and over.
Yeah.
Because I did it like once. Yeah.
So you get, but that's fine. Cause like, if you work with a pretty well-known brand and then you think that, oh, they're probably gonna, give me more jobs in the future. I've had this as well with a specific clothing retailer. So it's like a online retailing brand. Because I know that they're gonna give me jobs in the future as well, because usually they have a habit of rehiring models to do different collections. Then I would just be like, okay, sure. I know a model who she did a pretty big job for a beauty shop. So it's like a selected beauty shop. So it's like different stuff like here and there, and with makeup and like skincare and stuff like that. And 2 months later, Sephora asked her if she wanted to do a job with them. And because she already did that smaller brand, but even though it was a big, job, she couldn't. Like she would have definitely gotten more exposure, more money. Yeah.
Also, even if they don't sign your contract, they said like, oh, we're gonna use your image for 1 year, but you can take other jobs. That doesn't mean
anything.
Like it doesn't mean that other brands will take you because they already see you on like a different brand, and that could cost you money.
Yeah, I've had a few brands say that to me, and I really appreciate that they're trying to like comfort me and be like, oh, don't worry, we allow you to do other brands. And I'm like, I'm not worried about you guys, so I'm worried about other brands.
Exactly.
Yeah, because usually with private, like small brands, you usually see like Instagram again or like Facebook, stuff like that. They're fine with hiring a model who already done stuff outside. But if you get something like Sephora or anything like that, they don't want a model who has worked with other stuff that is related to their category of products at all.
Like I was offered a mobile phone job for Thailand usage only. And it was like, the amount was pretty, I remember it was pretty big, right? And then, of course, I accepted like to go for casting and all that kind of stuff, like auditioning. And shortly after, I was offered another mobile phone job for multiple countries usage with the same budget. It's like, what? So usually if you like the more
countries is used in, the higher the budget should be, technically.
Also, you thought you got another brand with like 3 countries for abysmal amounts of
the phone carrier stuff. Wasn't it the phone? Was it a phone or was it like the phone carrier?
It was the phone.
Okay, I can't remember.
Still, like you.
It was so little.
She got a worldwide online usage, and
I declined the offer.
The amount she was offered was like at least 10 times less than what it should have been.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
It was during the COVID situation. So what has happened recently is that because of the COVID stuff going on, all the prices have been lowered for some reason. I don't know why, because then technically more people's gonna see it online now that everybody's spending more time on their phones and like on the internet. But because people can't say no because they need to pay rent, clients and agencies are lowering the price just to, because they can.
Yay, another audio issue. I was being an idiot. I plugged in the charger for my audio recording. I didn't switch on the PowerPoint. Not the PowerPoint, power outlet.
PowerPoint? No thoughts, head empty.
Yes. So
where were we? Welcome back.
Yes, welcome back. So I guess part of the conversation might have to be cut.
Yeah, we don't know where it cut off, but we've just been talking a lot, so I'm sure that you didn't miss anything important anyway.
Yeah. So What was your favorite shoot?
Yes. Yes. That's where we cut off, and I had trouble answering that because
I think that's where we cut off.
probably we'll see. But it's very hard answering that because a lot of them look and feel good in post. You know what I mean? Like, I remember there was a lot of shoots where I did not have a good time. I'm not gonna go into details, but there's a lot of shoots like that where you know you're not really feeling your best, or like maybe some aspects of it is not comfortable. But then when you look back at it, you're like, oh, such pretty photos.
Yeah.
Like, oh, that's fine. It was totally nice. I just bumped into the microphone mission. But one that I can give for sure is probably my first shoot. I was saying that I love the owner so much. She's been so nice to me, and she's offered me so many jobs after that. And she's basically what got me started on my modeling career. And I really love the photographer as well. We still keep in touch. I really want to work with him again. So yeah, I think that one is probably still my favorite.
Nice.
What about yours?
Oh, I have quite a few actually, but it kind of comes down to essentially when I have to dress up as girls. That's like the easiest way to put it. And I do not enjoy dressing up as girls in real life, but as models, it's very, very fun when you get to do something that others can't do it. I got to do that kind of job. Special. I got to do that kind of shoot, I would say about 4 times now.
It used to be once a year.
Yeah, usually towards the end of the year. So hopefully I have one coming up this year as well.
If you need any
Andro
model, please get in touch. Call us.
Give me jobs.
Would you like to choose any from those?
I would say the one that I did for Vogue as well.
With a dress?
Yeah, it's my first time doing something like that. I didn't know what I got myself into. So my manager called me. So you've been contacted for this photo shoot for Vogue. So it's going to be at this hotel at this time. Be on time. So I was like, oh my God, I got to shoot for Vogue. And I think that was like my first year or like first 2 years of doing it. So that was pretty big deal, you know.
It looks like this. Pretty. Wow. Beautiful.
So I got there and I already knew like a few people over there, both models and the team. And the makeup artist jokingly is like, oh, you're going to be dressing up as girls today. So I was like,
jokingly.
Yeah. So I was like, nice.
Funny.
Yeah. And then because they told me to bring my own, some of the stuff, like my shoes. When I put down my stuff, I looked up to the clothing rack, and I went, oh no, they weren't joking about it. Shit.
It turned out so nice though.
Yeah. So it was my first time wearing a proper dress, a proper heels, and proper female makeup. It was, I wouldn't say enjoyable, but it was fun.
Beauty is pain.
Yes. My experience was quite interesting because the makeup was fine. Like I got pretty much used to like putting on makeup, but not for that long.
The
dress,
it's quite heavy too.
Yeah. The dress was, we call it for press conference or press release. So they would send this dress, which has never been sold anywhere yet in Thailand. And there's no size for you to choose from. So it's only that size.
They don't usually tailor the stuff to the models, which
No.
is why there's that, standard size thing going on. But yeah.
Unless you are for like runway, then that would do it.
Yeah.
But then it would be like the runway size and the actual retail size.
Yeah.
So yeah, the dress was very, very tight. It was the let's call it like the kind of Spanish-esque kind of dress.
Mm-hmm.
The torso bit, they're like mesh, and the back part is like a zipper. So at first I thought I was gonna fit it. Like I could not fit in for sure because dudes have like broad shoulder and whatnot. I tried, and then I was like, told my manager, like, I don't think I can fit it in. He walked in, it's like, let me see. And then he just zipped the shit up. And I went like, oh my God, it fit.
So this brand that he shot for as well is very known for like very tight waists.
So luckily, I'm a skinny dude. My waist is about 20. Well, back then I lost weight from that part as well. So I think back then my waist is around like 90, not 90, what the fuck? 29.5 or 29. I have smaller now because I lost weight. But yeah, it was very, very tight. I could not breathe for about like almost an hour. I was breathing like this, like, and you can see like my skin is trying to like escape through the mesh the entire time.
Mm-hmm.
And the heels that they gave me was size 39. So that's about like what, size
It's my
8,
shoe.
9?
Yeah.
And my feet are 43. So it's about 10. So it's about like a good 1 or 2 size bigger. It was so painful to just get it in. And I had to like kind of stand in it. It was so painful.
Yeah.
It was, but it's very fun. And the pictures came out like,
Oh, they're gorgeous.
amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Most of my friends just didn't recognize me completely. Like, that was you? What?
Yeah, I remember in the beginning when we started dating,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, why don't you work out? You should stay healthy and, get some muscles and stuff like that. And he was like, no, what if I don't fit into girls' clothes anymore?
Yeah, that's okay. So that's another thing. That is like a legit excuse for myself.
Yeah.
You're
not going to get that much muscles from working out, though.
I won't. But so going back to like, when they said like they need very specific character for each job.
Yeah.
This is one of it where it's like a feminine-esque dude. Like I would love to have muscles, of course, but not to the point where I'm like, "Hurr!"
Yeah.
But yeah, like I would say most of my jobs that I got, because I still have long hair. It's not very common to have long hair in Thailand because the cultural perception, and it's freaking hot.
It takes a long time to grow out too.
Yeah. It's so much work for just maintaining this thing. But yeah, it still gives me jobs. So I'm like, okay, I'll just keep it.
Yeah. And I like it.
And yeah, I got more jobs because of my long hair after that. Like makeups and fashion runway. Yeah. And then partially because I could fit into girls' clothes.
Yeah. It's pretty. What else is that?
Good question.
Didn't you have a list?
I do. I don't know where my phone is.
It's right here.
I can't see. Everything is blocking my face.
There you go.
Thank you very much.
We were planning this out, but then we just went on a tangent and now we're here. And usually When you take pauses between you talking, my mind just goes like, zzz.
It's just gone, completely gone.
I'm just like listening and like, yes. Because normally how we talk in the car, usually, it's just like, yeah, so this thing, happened earlier today. And I'm like, I have time to wait.
But I assume that you guys don't. So
Yeah.
we're trying to like
Speed it up a little bit.
Yeah. We're doing a horrible job so far. And I don't want to keep cutting every single process that we make because first of all, the videos could be jumpy. And second of all, I don't want to edit all of them.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot.
That's my main issue. Okay,
Oh,
so I have some interesting stuff here. What kind of style that you want to get into, but you haven't, or you don't think you're not going to work?
Like fashion style?
Yeah.
Or like look wise?
Like e-boy, e-girl?
Oh my God.
I wouldn't mind that.
Yeah, there's a lot. Like, so for me, usually the jobs that I get is, kind of basic. My looks are not super special. So usually I would get, retail clothes or skincare, or if I'm lucky, I get high fashion. I go for TVCs, but in the realm of TVC competition, I don't stand out that much. So I had to keep quite sellable look. So I can't really do anything, alternative. I do have a tattoo. I wish I had more. There's many reasons why I don't. Modeling is one of them. So usually with brands where I get to know the owner personally, they have no issue with it. But if I'm doing a bigger job for, higher pay, mainstream, they usually try to cover it up, which would be even more difficult if I had more. I know many models who are very established who have a lot of tattoos, but I think that because of the exposure that they get and because of the expertise that they have, the client are more willing to actually take the time to cover up the tattoos.
Or even just let the tattoos be in the picture entirely. So the more exposure you have, the bigger you get, the
more you can do.
Yeah.
Because you sell your personality at that point rather than just your looks.
Yeah.
Which would be ideal, but it's not easy.
It's not.
Yeah. Something else, probably my hair. I had a long journey with my hair. So it's naturally curly. It's not super curly today because I need to wash it, but it's quite curly. And I used to always straighten it. But because my hair is very thin, it looks very flat. So it's not super flattering. So yeah. I also used to color it a lot. So in uni, before I started modeling, I had usually gray hair. I would do a lot. I had blue hair at one point, green hair, purple, and I would just switch it up because I knew that if there was a time to do it, it was at that point, So I experimented a lot with my hair, and then it got very damaged, as it does. So when it got to the point where it was kind of starting to grow out, and the dark hair and also the curly hair, I just decided to chop it off. So I chopped it off around here, and then I kept my hair short for a while, and I was trying to grow it out again. But there was a lot of times where a lot of people telling me to cut my hair again, but I know that if I grow it out more, I would get more jobs as well. So that's the thing. If you have really short hair, you will get a lot of jobs. If you have really long hair, you would get a lot of jobs. If you have something in the middle, it's
questionable.
You still get jobs, but it's not as much as you would get if you had an iconic hairstyle.
So you need to keep refreshing your look as well. So for me, I think I don't have that much time left where before I have to, because a lot of big models, it's either that they just keep their own style forever because it's sellable, or they just keep changing like every half a year or like every few months to and it works because they would get shoots and whatever after that.
Yeah, I think it's also with physique and skin color, unfortunately. So there's a lot. It's a whole issue about like skin color here. If you're Western, usually they don't care. You can be like, depending on your ethnicity, they basically just get what they're looking for. But if you're Hafi or Thai, it's very difficult. So I'm sure that I'm not the perfect person to talk about this because even though I'm tan, I'm not, like as tan as other models are. And they have been speaking out about this a lot on their social media about how it's quite colorist here.
Yeah.
So even though I don't really care if I get tan, but I have to because of the jobs that I will miss out on. And it's not as easy as just like, oh, I don't care because like, like fuck them, whatever. I get paid. Yeah. I can't just like stand up against them and then not be able to pay rent. So that's a whole issue that we don't have to get too much into in this episode. We can always talk about it in the future. But that's also a thing. Like if I go out and like go diving or just go to the beach, I have to be really careful because, if I have a job or anything like that. Also, extreme sports. I just got injured recently. Oh, yeah. You can probably see it, but it's kind of healed now. I kicked the engine on what's it called?
I can't remember what it's called, but it's like like the surfboard with like a spinny motor on the tail of it in the water.
Bumping into this, yeah.
That like you kind of revving it up and just go like flying and floating above the air.
Yeah, basically a paddleboard with a spinny thing.
Yeah.
So I kicked the spinny thing and I got like
massive bump.
A massive bump / cut on my leg, and then I had like a photo shoot the week after. So that's also a thing that I kind of forgot about because I haven't really gone out as much because of the whole COVID situation. So I kind of forgot about it. I was like, oh, it will be fine. It will be fun. Yay, outside. And then that happened.
Yeah.
So yeah, you have to be really careful about that kind of stuff because I was lucky because I had a very forgiving client at that shoot, but a lot of clients wouldn't be as forgiving because they pay for you, they pay for you to be in pristine condition.
Because they chose you from that exact look. Yeah. They want you on the set in that exact look as well. So a lot of times where you can't do anything to your physical once the client chose you. It's like a no thing, like where I got this job, like a fashion runway job, and I wanted to trim it out like 3 inches, which is like that. And then I text them like, oh, can I trim my hair off because it's quite damaged or like whatever, right? And then they legit went into like a meeting in their own group chat, and then they just screenshot and sent back. They said like, don't touch my hair. I was like, okay, Cap.
Yeah, I mean, even if it was only like 3 inches for real, how can they trust you to
not fuck it up?
Not fuck it up, yeah. So they're very sensitive about this kind of topic, especially if it's like a big job. So that's the reason why you have to always update your comp card, which I need to do.
And another recent thing that I screwed up recently, well, not entirely, but so both of us went to do a music video on like one of the day.
Oh yeah, that was unfortunate.
I completely forgot about the sunscreen, and we stood in the sun for about 4 hours straight. Both my shoulders are burnt completely, and my face as well. And then the morning after, I got another big job. And by the time I got there, everyone was like, have you been on the beach? It's like, oh no, I got a job yesterday.
Yeah.
And they had to pretty much do a quick, intensive repair of my face where they just pumped in everything that they have, just like
To
Yeah.
revitalize your skin.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, so you have to schedule yourself around your jobs. But I mean, if you enjoy it, it's kind of worth it.
like I mean, of course, like you can go on the beach on the sun just as long as protect your skin. Like don't get damaged before your big day.
Mm-hmm. You also kind of have to. I know this is a big topic as well, but the whole weight issue.
Oh yeah,
It's luckily now that a lot of Western brands have started to accept, different
plus
body,
size.
body shapes and such. It hasn't really reached that point here yet in Thailand.
No.
It's just like I feel like the industry just started working on the whole colorist issue, and that hasn't even. I feel like it can't. They haven't really been able to work on both
Yeah, like
at the same time to improve both.
even
standards.
for like LGBT, which became like a thing a few years back, which is why I started getting those kind of jobs as well.
Like popularity in LGBT media.
Like even now, it's still not a thing. It's still very a subculture where
Yeah.
it's almost gimmicky for them to do it.
Straight and cis people still very much dominate that area. I'm not going to go into details about this in this episode, but it is very much controlled by, non-LGBT still.
Even though the majority of the big people here are LGBT.
Yeah, it's a big topic.
It is.
It's a very big topic.
I mean, I'm not shitting on them for sure because they make nice clothes and everything, but yeah, they haven't really figured out the perfect formula of doing this kind of stuff, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, so that's the thing. Like for going back to like body shapes and stuff like that. If you are selling yourself, or if your agency is selling you in a certain style or in a certain proportion, you have to keep that like for a long time. So that doesn't mean that it's not always like super duper skinny here, which is nice. I remember when I went to the agency I wanted to go to back 3 years ago, they told me that I was not allowed to lose any more weight because they were like, you would not be sellable. And I was like, okay, thanks. They're very harsh here, like in terms of how they speak to you about your body. But I don't know, you kind of get used to it. Or you already have to be like a strong mind.
Yeah.
Because you do get, like if you're lucky, you will get really nice people that you work with. But occasionally you will get people that are not that nice or don't really care what they say. And they will say stuff. Yeah, for sure.
I mean, this is like the nature of the job as well, where you have to deal with once you get into this industry. Yeah.
Because you're selling your looks, unless you're an influencer or celebrity where you're selling your personality as well.
I haven't got told to like lose weight and everything, but partially because I'm a guy as well. I've been told to cut my hair short so many times. I'm like, no, don't touch my hair.
So many people tell you to keep your hair long though.
Yeah, like when I first started growing it out, everyone around me told me to cut it. Like, oh no, it's just so ugly.
You're speaking very quietly.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Can I say it again? Everyone say that. Don't grow it out. It looks so ugly right now, blah, blah. Yeah. It's... People in Thailand usually kind of talk pretty freely about others' physical look.
Yeah, it's kind of part of the culture here.
Yeah,
I'm sure like a lot of Asian
well.
countries know about this as well. Like the whole stereotype about like your mom would be like, why do you gain so much weight? And then like give you food.
Yeah.
That's true.
It's almost part of the greetings that As of this, what's called generations, it doesn't work quite well, but that's what you have to deal with. As a fully Asian man.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah. I still get greeted by my grandmom as, have you lose weight again? It's like, no, grandma. I've been on this weight for the past years. I'm just wearing big clothes.
Yeah. If you're a bit more on the curvier side, you do still have a lot of job opportunities, but they're more freelance, I would say, or in TVC area. As I said, like TVC is very forgiving when it comes to how you look. It just depends on what the client is looking for. So that's why like you will see a lot of like older people get a lot of jobs in TVCs as well.
Oh yeah, you know that guy with insecticide TVC ads? That guy is like internationally somewhat known.
Because of his dad roles.
No, like he's acts like batshit crazy, but he's so good. No, that wear the termite suit.
Yeah,
yeah, that guy.
Yeah,
he's
true.
amazing.
Yeah, I have a friend who, her dad. So my friend is not like a model or anything. She's not in the industry, but her dad keeps getting jobs to be a dad in commercials.
Nice.
Like everywhere, and like it's because people don't really pay attention to side characters a lot. Like they don't look closely at who is playing the side character. So you get away a lot more with playing the same role for different brands or for different families.
Yeah, but like when you go for the audition, you still have to mention that you've done this kind of stuff before.
Yeah.
And then it will depend on your client now, like how much your face has been exposed in that TVC. And then, yeah.
I think in a lot of the cases, if you're at that point, you don't even have to go casting anymore. Like
They
usually
just hit you up.
they just call you and they'll be like, hey, I have a role. Can you do it? And it's like, yeah, sure.
Also, like after you worked for a while, the best kind of job is that, are you free next Friday?
Yeah.
Like, can you come for a shoot? Like, this is your budget.
I love getting contacted by either the client directly or the casting agency directly. Like I met a lot of nice agencies, like modeling agencies before, but it's not that transparent, and it's just nice to see straight up like what they're offering. Usually, if you get paid directly from the client, you get lower than what you would get for an agency. Like not in total, but like usually the whole price is like lower, of course, because they know that, oh, you don't have to pay the agency, so they can lower the price.
They cut out the 30% for you.
Yeah.
So essentially you get the same amount of money, but directly.
Yeah, but it's more transparent because then you can see exactly how much they're offering you. Sometimes it's a case of like the client pays the agency and the agency is free to do like whatever they want. So they can basically take 50% of what the client pays and then tell you the rest of the 50% and then take 30% from the 50% if they want to.
Yeah.
Like, because how would we know? So
you would think that it's so crazy that they can do that, but it's not that uncommon.
Yeah, yeah.
We've encountered like a lot of that kind of stuff, including our friends. Because budgeting in Thailand, it doesn't, separate, like, this is the budget for the agency fee. This is the budget for the models or for production. The client usually just, okay, we have a total of this amount. You can have all of them and go manage it yourself. And that's how the budgeting is very, very annoying.
Yep. Yeah.
Struggles,
but we're still very lucky.
Yeah. I mean,
to
like,
be able to do this.
There's so many, the most recent ones where I deal this job with the most money I've ever gotten for a single job. Way easier, like the way how I dealt with the agency or the production team. It's just like through text. I'll be like, that's fine. It's easy, right? And then there's this through an agency where the budget is like average, a lot lower. And they would just call me nonstop of asking like, oh, how about this? Oh, can you do this on this day? Oh, can you also do this? It's like, you have all my information on the paper. Why don't you put in your computer so you can look it up? So it's like those kind of little things that will annoy you most of the time. Where
Yeah, but I understand why the client would prefer going to an agency, because then the agency takes care of everything.
yeah,
Because, I mean, some models are very easy to work with, but how are they gonna know that, How do they know that the models, like this model is nice to work with, this one is kind of like fussy? They wouldn't know that. So the easiest way for them is just contact an agency and be like, I need this kind of model, can you take care of it?
Yeah.
Here's the money.
And usually they contact the casting agency, and then the casting agency contacted the modeling agency. So that's already like, a lot of money is losing through the process.
It's a lot of middlemen.
That's why like getting job through the client directly or the casting agency is like the best one. Are you free next week?
Yeah. My favorite one was, are you free in 3 days?
Oh yeah, there's one time I got so this agency, they're pretty chill. They mentioned about this job like 2 weeks prior to what was gonna happen. And then they never said anything back. And so I was like, oh, probably didn't get it. And then about 5 p.m., almost 6, they just called me. It's like, oh, are you still free tomorrow for the job that I mentioned 2 weeks ago? The client forgot to confirm with us.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was like, let me check real quick. Okay, what time and where? And it's basically you have to drive like, 40 minutes away. They initially told me to be there at 8 a.m. But I had to like deal with them because like, okay, because this is so sudden, I'm gonna be late. Okay, but I'll be there before like 9:30, which is like 1.5 hours. Luckily, I had to send this girl to her job as well.
Which one was this?
Sunsiyam.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So luckily, we had jobs on the same day, on the same direction. So that was a plus.
Very convenient.
Yeah.
Doesn't always happen like this.
No.
It's often that it's very inconvenient. But the thing is that the easier you are to work with, the more they will contact you directly.
Or they'll think of you like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, I remember if you're looking for like a tan girl, super easy to work with, there you go. I mean, we also kind of recommend our friends to other clients when we like, when they look for particular models.
Yeah. All the time.
Just like friends helping each other out.
Yeah. Contact again. It is, that'd be how it be.
Yeah. Like, you don't want to be hated in this industry because it's for the
It will
words.
ruin your career.
Yeah, because like the word spreads so fast and people often believe rumors more than they would believe you. And yeah, it just a domino effects.
There's a lot of competition here too, so it's very easy to get replaced.
The models nowadays, they're like 15.
They've always been 15.
Oh yeah,
It's always been like that, but
kids nowadays are just better looking.
Yeah, that too. And also people stay in the industry longer, so it's just very saturated. I recently got a job with so I'm 26. So I recently got a job with people who were 18, 19, 20. And I was like, what am I doing?
Yeah. Even when I first joined, I was 22? They were like, as a kids, like in the school uniform. Like, what are you doing here? Go back to your school. Holy shit.
Yeah, but it's always been like that. Even when I first came to Thailand, the agency that I went to, they also said like, your limit is 18 years old. If you don't join the industry by then you're finished.
That's a lie because I joined 22.
I mean, it used to be like that. It used to be like that back in the day. So if you were past like 20, then it was very, very, very hard for you to get into the industry. But now I think because of the help of like skincare, a lot of people get plastic surgery as well. A lot of people rely on more influence rather than just looks. And it's also kind of, trendy to be older now as well. So it's easier for people to get into the industry even though they're not, 15, 16, 17, 18.
Time. Yeah.
And now the prime is like 24, something like that.
Yeah, probably.
Everything has been moved up.
Which is kind of great for us right now.
Yeah. Not in a rush to grow up. Yeah. But yeah, don't feel too rushed. I'm sure that the industry is going to change again. It always does. Yeah, who knows what's going to happen next? Hopefully it's going to be like a revolution of everybody can be a model.
Oh no, does that mean like we're going to be jobless again?
Probably, but equality.
All right, fair.
Had to fix our economy first.
Yeah. I mean, the Rona probably gonna... I would say probably. It's already did something to the fashion industry where just the styles change.
Definitely.
Like it's not as glamorous anymore. It's more like what's called loungewear at home.
Yeah, I'm very jealous of the Western fashion industry right now because I think it's the way that they handled the COVID situation too. But there is Fashion Week right now, or it just passed, and there's so many runways. Like even though we're in the middle of COVID, and it's just like I wish that we had it here, but we don't, and we're not gonna have it for like a long time.
Yeah, the fashion in Thailand is not that interesting to begin with, and now that this whole thing happens, I just miss runway. I miss runway so much.
Yeah, and you're like mainly a runway model too, so you're jobless.
I wouldn't say mainly runway, but I do get it every now and then. But yeah, like I just love being on runway so much because it's like a family gathering because you get to be with your friends.
Yeah, everybody kind of gets to know each other. I would say I don't know how things are in other countries, but the community among the models here is very strong. Everybody kind of gets to know each other because, we kind of had to fight for ourselves a lot.
Yeah.
So I think that creates a really strong community among everybody.
Yeah.
And everybody supports other people and stuff like that.
Like, so during the Fashion Week casting or auditioning, there was a total of 600 people went for casting. And so like, we just slowly forming a group of like who go first. And it just, if another friend comes over. So the first dude's waiting for the second guy. And then we end up with like a group of 20 people looking for a place to eat. This kind of stuff. And it just, it's always the case.
Yeah, it's going to be a while until we can do that again.
Been going on for about an hour and a half. Would you like to
cut it off here?
Yeah.
Maybe so we can eat our carrot cake.
It's getting a bit stale.
It's getting a bit stale.
What about it?
Anyways, see you guys next time. I don't know what we're going to talk about. We probably have a list.
Yep.
And we're going to... Why am I so tired?
I don't know.
We'll see you. And you will know what we're going to talk about when you see the title of the next video.
Yes.
So, yeah. Bye-bye. Peace out. Did it die?
Yeah.
Ding.